Hello, nice to see you again. Today is day 3 of my challenge, and I just wanted to give you some run through of how I intend to give you like status reports and make you see how the project is going. So every week when I post the third post, it should be some kind of a status post that gives you a nice overview of progress made, where I am, how things are going. So that's what this video is all about. So I've been working on my business plan, and I just wanted to share the SWOT analysis from there because I can't go through the whole thing. But that'll give you, enough information, I think. So let's have a look at that one. This is a summary of my SWOT analysis. If you remember from the last video, I couldn't remember what the T stood for. So I asked my husband, and he told me it stands for threats. I didn't even have to look it up. So we've got strengths for the S, weaknesses for the W, opportunities for the O, and threats for the T. I've summarized them here in this little chart. The strengths that like I mentioned before, I've got skills in handling the microorganisms, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm also highly motivated to succeed. This can't fail, so I'm really looking at that as a strength that I have right now. And then I also have access to good infrastructure. So when it comes to actually growing the mushrooms, having a room for fruiting, a room for incubation, and a lab space. I have all those where I need to just convert the place that I'm thinking of, so that we have dedicated space for all those things. Then, uh, yeah, weaknesses. The main thing I've been struggling with, honestly, is just this lack of readily available inputs. I mean, why should it be so hard to get a hold of everything? So, because of this, I mean, ideally, I should be able to just get a block of the substrate that's already been inoculated so that in a matter of 2 to 4 days, I can actually start getting some fruit and seeing how I can sell it. But instead, I'm going right back to actually looking for the spawn, looking for the strains. And that's a bit of a weakness. So, that I've seen that there's a real problem in the supply chain. Is I guess in the community, people must know who has what, but I'm not in it yet, and I'm finding it quite difficult. Then on the opportunities, I mean, obviously, when you have a weakness, you can turn it into an opportunity. So therein lies some of the opportunities in this business for training, for providing those inputs, and for actually satisfying the market that's not fully satisfied right now. And then for threats, I did mention the snake issue. So I've got to make sure that even the fruiting and incubation rooms that I have are really snake proof because I can't deal with snakes. I'm not doing that. And I've got a light bulb here as well because we're under this horrible load shedding regime where we don't have power from like what 06 until 22. That's the whole day. There's no power. So if you're trying to humidify or use some kind of climate control, it becomes very difficult. So this issue of power supply is a huge threat, and I've got to find a fix around it. The process of growing these mushrooms is pretty inspirational, but I really just wanted to break it down um, according to the research that I've done. So I was trying to see how long does it take from start to finish to get one cycle of these lovely mushrooms. And that's what I've broken down here. So if you start with strain selection, when you actually like start from scratch and you want to grow your strain on a petri dish, it's going to take you 6 days of incubation to get that mycelium growing. Then you can prepare the substrate and and inoculate in one day. and you leave that to incubate. So that's the spawn to incubate. And then it's going to take you another 2 to 4 weeks of incubation. And then you're going to have to move everything to a fruiting room for 2 to 4 days. So that's a total time of 6 weeks. Although in between there, um, don't forget that when you inoculate from your strain, you're going to inoculate some grain or some kind of spawn, and that's going to take some time to incubate. And that's what you're going to get and actually put into your straw or your sawdust and all that. So this is a general timeline. I have to do it with my own hands to see what the timeline really is. I just picked this from from some of the videos I've been watching and from some of the publications that are there. Yeah, so all this would be made so much easier if you have the inoculum already, if you have the spawn already, if you have the incubated bags already. You can cut this whole cycle down quite far. But that's what I mean when I say the inputs are really, very difficult to get a hold of. People say they have, but I can't get any in my hands. Anyway, we'll get there. Now, I just want to talk about how the project management, monitoring, evaluation, protocols, and general stuff comes together. So, I'll show you a couple of pictures of my bullet journal where I started the whole process of thinking everything through. And you'll see from there where the ideas come from. And then we'll look at how I actually put them into Notion to generate my system for managing this whole project. So the first picture I'll show you is just how my bullet journal looks. I usually have 3 priorities every day. I like to just keep a to-do list every day so I can see at a glance what I'm supposed to do. Then I've got another picture that I'll show you, which is basically my this whole project put over 2 pages of the whole 11 weeks and split into activities and results. Then I can just show you how that goes into Notion. Introduce you to the setup I have for monitoring my progress. So this is what I'll be sharing with you every week for the update on the actual project progress. So I'm using Notion because I think it's a pretty cool tool, but the actual organization of all my activities started off in my bullet journal. So I've shared this screenshot of my bullet journal, which shows how I actually thought of how I would be managing the whole thing. So I've split it up by weeks, and then I've got activities and objective and key results, M&D, money out and money in. And then I've got another chart for results where I actually see how my results are going in terms of my objectives and the milestones that make up each objective. I want to see how fast I'm getting there. So I'm using Notion to actually keep tabs on this bullet journal spread that you see here. So let's have a look. I've got one table which has activities, and in here I basically have the objective key result. So I do it week by week. So if I follow what I've done in my bullet journal, I've got 11 weeks because I've got my 80-day challenge. So that is why you see 11 weeks here. So right now we're in week 1, and the activities for week 1, when I planned out my business plan and what I really want to do, in week 1, I figured that I needed to get strain selection, obtain pure cultures, and prepare the substrate. So these are my key results that I want for week 1. And I can put week 1 here, and then here I can say what I've done, whether I'm actually started working on it or not. And on the monitoring evaluation, I can say whether I'm on course, behind, or ahead of time. And then here I can keep tabs on how much money I've spent and how much money has come in one way or the other in terms of the project. Then I've got the results being on a different table. And in here, what I do now is take the objectives that make up this whole project and the milestones that make those objectives up. And that's what I'm tracking here. So I've got my milestones, which will be coming here. Then again, I can see the status report on that milestone. But importantly, I can check the velocity here. So basically, in a sprint, I'm taking this from Agile management. So if I have a sprint where I'm trying to do those particular things, and inside that sprint, there's maybe 10 activities. If I've achieved 5 of those activities, that's 50%. So what I'm going to put here is 50 because I've got this as percentage. And then it will give me this nice little bar, which will show me how I'm doing. And then I'm going to tally everything so that I can get an average of what my velocity is as the weeks go by. And then here, instead of looking at money in and out, I'm looking at the total sales that I'm actually making and how much profit is represented there, so that I can really see whether I'm making money. Even if I'm selling, am I actually making money? I don't want to lose sight of that. So that is what I'm doing to manage the results and the things I'm doing. I have a protocols book where I'm gathering like the protocols that I'm going to use for cultivating the strains that I've selected. So I want to actually write down a bunch of things about the strains that are available and how they'll perform in my hands. Then I've got my substrate and growth media. So all the data I collect about that I keep here. And materials and equipment. So everything from the actual lab equipment itself to packaging and all the rest of it. So I'll keep that here. And this collection will grow as I gather the information I need to do all the different steps. And what I like about Notion is that it's also got this weekly to-do list. So you can when you click this, a new one of these blocks shows up and you can adjust it. So I adjusted it because I want to start my week on a Wednesday because that's when I started the whole project. So every time I click this, it gives me a new week with to-dos ready there for me to fill in. So I can put the 3 key results that I'm looking for, I can put them here. And if there's sub activities, I can also just edit this whole thing and make it work for me. So I think this together is a really good setup and I'm happy with it. Yeah, so that's it. I would really love to hear your thoughts. How do you get organized? What's your setup like? What could I do to improve? I mean, as I use it, I'm sure it's going to evolve. But as a system, I think it's got all the things that I need. So I'm really curious to see what you've got going on, and any comments or questions you've got. So please leave a comment in the space below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.